as I told you, Spain and Portugal are putting in place new measures and also are leading the European ecosystems with new initiatives at European level. In Spain, there are two main measures, the Startup Law and the Next Tech Fund of Funds. The Startup Law is, we did last year, the draft text of the future Startup Law came to light. And, came to light at the end last year. And the Next Tech Fund of Funds was also launched and has already been done to operations. And the Startup Law will comprises a set of fiscal, administrative, and labor measures that will remove hurdles to make life easier and simpler for tech entrepreneurs. And specifically will provide fiscal incentives for those startups and business angels, new stock options tax scheme, a new visa for tech digital nomads. There's also an expat tax scheme broadened for other direct family members to come to Spain and stay here with the digital nomad, and also incentives to charity interests. So there's a number of initiatives, number of measures put in place to attract talent, attract investors to Spain, and promote the Spanish ecosystem. The Next Tech Fund of Funds is the other measure in Spain. Is a public-private partnership that will raise more than 4 billion euros money in investment for deep tech scale-ups based in Spain, which means that will generate job opportunities, will attract and retain those tech talents, those talents who are so difficult to...
We hope so.
Of course, we'll do. And generate a more powerful venture capital ecosystem here in Spain. As I told you, it has already closed 2 operations with more than 170 million compromise in both those 2 operations. Also at European level, together with Portugal, we are involved in several initiatives leading other member states. Last year, Portugal, Austria, and Spain launched the Europe Startup Nation Alliance, which is a platform to facilitate the development of new startups across Europe. Also, we are participating in a new initiative coordinated and managed by the European Investment Fund that will enable the future European tech champions to keep their headquarters in Europe, not to move to United States or Asia. So this is, I think it's quite important. In Spain, we have already 9 unicorns, and this number will be doubled by 2030, according to the target of Europe's digital decade.
Woohoo!
And so a lot of measures. So I would like Arthur to tell us about which main measures do you have deployed, or you are to be deployed in Portugal?
Sure, Alberto. Thank you. Let me just by thanking the invitation to the Spanish government to participate and share a little bit what's going on back in Portugal, and also to congratulate South Summit on this amazing event. And well, greet my fellow colleagues from the panel as well. Going to what's happening in Portugal, well, there's no doubt definitely that more and more in a global perspective that the governments are looking in their economic strategy specifically to startups as the way to go, in a sense that we're having so specific characteristics of this type of companies in terms of their business models, on how they can truly incorporate technology and leading to competitiveness to the economies they have usually normally very high skilled people working in their ranks, and their level to contribute to more innovation and to more competitiveness to the economy is absolutely clear. And Spain and Portugal are no exception in that. So in Portugal, we consider ourselves a startup nation, and like startups that have different maturity stages, we would want to evolve to scale up and then to a unicorn nation in that sense. Although we already have 7, that puts us in a very good position in terms of per capita comparison. But going specifically to the measures that we're developing in Portugal, I would highlight 2 of them right now. The first one is completely directed to the national budget law, which is to state there the definition of what it is a startup. And that's crucial and critical for public policy making, to define exactly what are the support and the measures that we need to design conjointly with the ecosystem for them. That's the first thing, which will make them eligible for all the measures and initiatives that we put forward. And one of those measures are the very hot topic that's been going on for quite a while, not only in Portugal, everywhere, regarding the stock options. We want to implement this year the stock options in Portugal. The second thread would be the bet, and the record bet that the Portuguese government is doing on the ecosystem, with non-refundable support of 125 million directly to this ecosystem, which will split through first green and digital transition projects and business models that startups have. And with vouchers, regardless of their maturity stage, it's not only for the seed or pre-seed, it's for all stages. It could be for the entire company, it could be just for a specific project. So we want to have that bet in combination with all the SDGs, and obviously also the digital compass of objectives of the European Union. And secondly, to upgrade our network of incubators through their upskill. For us, is definitely and Startup Portugal is taking care of this very carefully. We don't want to share an indicator of how much incubators we have to have a large number. Unlike many startups is a good thing and investment is a good thing, incubators, we want to have them in terms of quality.
Quality in terms of
precisely
quantity.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great. So this is a good overview of the national measures, but I think you are also leading at the European level. Last year, during the Portuguese presidency of the Council of the European Union, you promoted the creation of the ESNA, as I told you. Indeed, you are the interim CEO. And Spain also was a founding member and is fully supporting this initiative. Could you tell us the main objectives or activities that ESNA is putting in place or is prepared to launch?
Yeah, sure. Just to correct you, I'm not the interim CEO. I'm supporting the interim management team.
Okay.
That is on place. Okay. So if my wife heard, she would ask for the paycheck. That it's not happening. So basically, let me go through the process of what happened in ESNA. So in a nutshell, Portugal was taking the presidency of the European Council back in January 2021. And prior to that, we had multiple conversations with the Commission, and to look deeply on startup ecosystem, we inherited a declaration that were the Startup Nation standards that lists 8 best practices in terms of public policy making for countries to become startup-friendly countries. We're talking about fast-track creation of a company, stock options, like I mentioned before. We're talking about access to funding, which we'll talk a little bit more later on, and digital first matters regarding gender equality and so on. So we inherited that declaration, and at the same time we did an exhaustive diagnosis of the ecosystem. And the main highlights that we point out are, first, we're definitely lagging behind in terms of main indicators comparing to other leading regions. We're talking about number of startups, investment, number of workers working for this ecosystem, and unicorns. We also found that having spread it around multiple concepts of what is a startup, I know that that's a never-ending discussion. It should evolve, but at the same time, for public policy makings, we need to know exactly what we're dealing with. We can evolve also, but we need to stabilize and harmonize this concept. And that will feed also the data that we consume around this ecosystem. Because the feeling, I'm sure that everyone looks into indicators on this ecosystem, always have the sense that we're comparing sometimes apples to pears. And we want to also to work on that direction. And last but not least, the fragmentation that we see in Europe regarding initiatives, organizations, associations that are trying to go to different directions, sometimes at different same directions, but they're wasting resources. And in that sense, ESNA comes to first monitor this Startup Nations Declaration, support governments to implement this public policy, construct this common platform and data platform as a tool for the entire ecosystems and for all member states, work on a distinctive brand that represents Europe here and abroad, and also on the internationalization part to help our startups and to attract more talents. We built a governance model that is 360 in the sense that incorporates everyone from the ecosystem, from decision-making and policy-making governments to the founder, to unicorns, to incubators, to university and research and development centers, to associations from member states that somehow represent their ecosystem. And right now, we announced it, like you mentioned, Portugal, Spain, and Austria as founding members. 3 just got in, France, Czech Republic, and Slovenia. And others will come later on. And now we're up to roll up their sleeves and truly implement what I just mentioned.
So as now we'll get larger and larger.
Yes, yes.
So, okay, thank you very much. Definitely and surely that together we'll succeed in
hopefully
this.
I'm counting on you as well.
And right after this overview of the key elements, the new tools that at legislative and national level and European levels will be shaping the future startup policy, I would like to know the opinion of the ecosystem representatives from both countries. I don't know, Marisol, how have these measures, these governmental or institutional initiatives translated to the ecosystems? I mean, how the stakeholders have received them?
Thank you very much, Alvaro. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. First of all, let me tell you that we are so happy at South Summit of being celebrating this 10th anniversary of South Summit. And you know, besides everything that you can see in the stages or wherever you're in the marketplace, this energy, you can feel it. But this is something that has been building for 10 years, of course, no? And now we think that it's a good moment, no, to have legislations and regulations helping the ecosystems to go forward and to continue building over all these initiatives that are part of the ecosystem maturity as we see it, no? For us, we know that nobody can do it alone, no? We have like a tremendous task ahead of us, go forward in innovation position in a way that we can extract all the good qualities that we have as countries, like talent, technology, innovation, much more besides the sun and heat that we are enjoying these days, no? And of course, for us, the combination is investors, startups, and corporations. It's the perfect mix because startups are the innovation lab of the world, corporations have the infrastructure, the relationship with the regulators, they have the access to the market, and of course, investors inject the energy, no, and the money to the system. And this is perfect, but all this is also supported upon universities and government and regulations. And this is the scaffolding that we need to grow and to nurture. The startup law is really good news. We've been working in that as an ecosystem as well for a long time, as you all know, and we are happy that we have this news. And for us, it's just the way to keep attracting all this talent from everywhere. You can see that today we have people from more than 120 countries, no? We are, in the 3 days, we're expecting for around 30,000 or something, or maybe even more, guests from all over the world. And this is the way to attract. Then we keep continuing in the day-to-day, building and trusting and connecting the ecosystem. Evidences that we have is increase in investment. I have some figures here. Is that in Spain, in general, investment has grown a lot. Of course, I didn't have at hand the numbers of Portugal, but it's the same case. And that's all good news for everyone. No? In particular, Spain has an interesting thing that we are not as centralized as maybe other countries in Europe. We have, besides Barcelona and Madrid, Bilbao, Valencia, Malaga as interesting regions to grow. We have investment in Madrid has grown 64% in the last year. Right now we are around 12,500 million euros in investment. We have our 9 unicorns, which we are proud of, and these incentives to bring in startups and digital nomads to have the stock options regulation will only foster that. So we are part of an ecosystem, and we need to have all these working in a good balance.
Okay, great. And initiatives like these, that are promoted by South Summit, boost and facilitates life and connections and networking to the ecosystem. No, how is your organization dealing with it? What other measures are put in? I know you make a map of the ecosystem map every year.
Yes, one of the beauty, I think that you are enjoying that as well during the conference, but one of the beauties of South Summit is that we have all sectors represented here. No? So if you are in banking, you can also have inspiration from the health industry or the infrastructure industry. That is critical and key for new business creation. Innovation comes from going beyond your own sector and your own bias. Here right now, and if you go with your ears aimed to it, you can hear conversations that are happening, no? Creating new business at this moment, new projects, new interactions, new connections. We actively connect the dots, so one of the roles of the ecosystem players is to be the neutral place where everybody wants to meet and where we shake these connections and try to connect the dots. We have this ecosystem orchestration role. And from this, if we have all the infrastructure ready, things can fly. No? So for us, this is the role. We have, as you were saying, we have our ecosystem map analysis every year. We know the sectors that are both growing and top at every moment. And even I like that this year we embraced complexity, talking about this mix of sectors. So we have lots of health, as you can see in the region, besides, of course, the magnificent engineering talent that we have in the country. We have good knowledge in fintech, in health, in e-commerce, in tourism, and of course, banking and all the security and cyber transversalities that are there. And we have the ingredients to create magic, people. So let's keep creating magic, no?
So Spain is doing a good job right now.
Of course.
A good evolution of the ecosystem.
And we are a natural bridge with many ecosystems as well. We are, of course, a natural bridge with Latin America. Yeah, and this is a great opportunity both for Latin America and us. And this is still the objective of let's connect and do business together.
This is key. Thank you. And Antonio, how about Portugal? How did you see the measures that Arthur talked just us about?
Well, with great enthusiasm in Portugal, but let me just start by thank you the invitation and congratulations to South Summit. It's a magnificent event, better than last year, always growing, so congratulations. Well, I see it in a most enthusiastic way because we need those measures. We need public policies in order to create the conditions. I think we should not over-regulate, but we have to regulate something in order to ecosystems to grow and to develop and to be well-positioned in a competitive world. We are in a competitive world. We have some challenges. When I'm talking about Europe, we have some important challenges to overcome. We are seeing a lot of scale-ups when growing and wanting to go to IPOs and pre-IPOs round, still have to go abroad, still have to go to the United States, still have to go to other regions or ecosystems that better support them or have higher power of investment or something, and we have to do something about it. So maybe I can give you a good perspective on what Portugal is doing, and obviously we have heard of what Spain is doing. So it's a positive thing, but we have challenges. So I would like to notice and to take to your attention that there are still many things to do. We don't want to over-regulate, as I told you, but we have to do something in public policies to deal with European gaps in what relates to entrepreneurship, to ecosystem support, and to growing scale-up of our startups. In Portugal, we have some excellent indicators. For instance, I can point you, besides what Arthur just said, that among our top 15 companies in the country, 7 of them are tech-based. This is amazing because we are closer to the profile that the United States, for instance, have, and we are stepping away from a more traditional economy where the biggest companies are typically the industrial ones, utilities, telecoms, and others. So in the 15 top companies in Portugal, 7 of them are tech-based. This is a huge difference, and it happened some few years ago. We started to look to entrepreneurship and to the ecosystem in an integrated way. We can talk about startup ecosystem in Portugal since 2000, but maybe since 2016, we have looked to it in an integrated and strategic way. Startup Portugal was created. We are a non-profit organization funded by public capital, and that is equidistant from all the actors in the ecosystem. And what was our main mission? To hear and to give voice to the most relevant actors in the ecosystem. Because maybe in Spain the same, but some years ago in Portugal we heard a lot of SMEs, of big companies, of industrial companies, and startups and tech companies, tech-based companies didn't have the attention they deserve. So we started by listening to the ecosystem, listening to the founders, listening to the entrepreneurs, to the universities, to the hubs of innovation that we have all over the country. And for that, it was very important to have a network of incubators. As Arthur said, we have a lot of incubators. We have 169 incubators coordinated centrally by Startup Portugal. For you to know, for instance, France has 200 incubators, so maybe 169, we don't need so much, but it's very important to have this local knowledge of what is being done in each region. Because nowadays, when an investor or an entrepreneur wants to settle up in a country, the last thing or the last important thing that he thinks as a criteria is the region, the number of kilometers, if it's in the center, or if it's... No, he thinks about market, talent, the most important thing, and then the technology does the rest. We can work remotely. So it's important to have that local knowledge, to put it available for external investors and entrepreneurs, for them to know where are the best resources they can use to start up, to have new ventures, and to start a company. So the National Network of Incubators is a good example of this knowledge and this capability to hear the ecosystem locally and try with what we see locally, try to influence and make lobby to general public policies that then follow the specific necessities of the ecosystem. Obviously that we brought Web Summit to Portugal. It's also a good flag, and it will be in Lisbon until 2028. So it helps us to be seen as a startup nation. So we are the center of the world of entrepreneurship and tech and technology once a year in November, first week of November. And that is very positive. It's a good argument also to go. The third thing that I'd like to point is that for a Portuguese company, for a Portuguese startup, it's very important to start from inception to think abroad. Because of the size of our economy, we have to start up the companies always from the beginning thinking of internationalization. And we at Startup Portugal, every year we take dozens of company startups to go to several conferences and several geographies in order to connect them with different investors, partners, clients, and markets. This year, we are taking 70 startups to several initiatives like South Summit, like Vivatech in Paris, like Hannover Messe in Germany, like Collision in Toronto, Canada. And so that's an important part of our development, is always thinking abroad, always thinking about internationalization, because the local market, it's not enough. Finally, one last thing. Sorry. I think ESNA is one of the most important issues that we have in hand, because we cannot treat European market as one, and Americans can treat their local market as one, so they have more than 200 million people considered to be their home market. Brazilians also have gigantic home market, and we in Europe, with more than 400 million people, we are several different smaller markets that still don't communicate and still have a lot of barriers.
We all know that Startup Portugal is playing a more than relevant role there, so congrats, Antonio. And Luis, you are CEO and founder of a startup. Antonio said that we must give visibility, give voice to the startups. Can you tell us about your company? Can you introduce your company, please?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think every startup and entrepreneur should have this opportunity, a voice, to be heard. Aparit is the first digital platform connecting business diners with a marketplace of corporate restaurants, high-quality restaurants. So I'm going to be very quick, and I'm not going to be very hard on you, because I know this next question.
And do you think the measures explained both by Spain and Portugal would help your startup to succeed?
I think there are many good ideas, actually. I think one good idea that I really liked is that the period of a newly created company is now extended from now, I hope, from 3 years to 5 years, which is really nice for investors and their deductions. Then what about the notary fees? We pay a lot of notary fees, so let's see if this is a good opportunity for us not to pay them, but not only creating the company, always, closing the round, for example, and then also for those entrepreneurs that are also working for somebody else, they will not have to pay double for the social security, which is really nice. And there are many good ideas. By the way, we paid 3,000 euro for making a company, building a company, and now you can build a company with €1. So I could have 3,000 companies at the same price. So this is a great opportunity for us. I'm thinking about it, actually. But then I think I missed things. He's the one who is writing it, so this is a good moment to communicate it. For example, if I want an investor, an international investor, to invest in a company here in Spain, they need lots of paper. I mean, they need to go to the notary in the other country, and then they need to sign up here as a new society, a new company, which is very, very a long trip to close the round, or for example, what about the autonomous quote? Yes. This is a big thing, and that could be a big, big change. By the way, I forgot to tell you, congratulations, because you're joining forces. And I think Iberia, we are so much along together, we get so along. So congratulations for that. And what else I was going to say, because I forgot it now.
Well, we keep trying.
I have many things.
And keep working in the
by the way,
measures.
A pool of serious investors. The government choosing serious investors, because in the beginning, when you are starting, you don't know who is serious or who is not, So, yeah.
And what are the main challenges that you had to face as an entrepreneur? And I don't know if you could give the audience some tips to overcome those difficulties.
The challenges, imagine how it's to work with restaurants. So one challenge is that the restaurants are not digitalized. Also, they need a little bit of I don't know. I don't want to call it education, but a little bit of higher level of professionalization. And then, of course, when you are starting, because you are talking a lot about scale-ups. What about those early stage startups? These are the ones who need the help because they are not known. So we need visibility, promotion. We need to be there and we need to be heard. So the early stage, I think you should help a lot to them.
Okay, I'm afraid I'm running out of time, so thank you very much for your collaboration. Thank you for your attention. Have a really nice day and a nice summit.
Thank you.